Testing. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, actually. It is evening, isn't it? Welcome to the University of the District of Columbia. I am Allyn Johnson, and welcome to this installment of Meet the Artist. And today I am honored and happy to have with me one of DC's finest singers, songwriters, and artists, and my sister. Just glad to have her here, Miss Heidi Martin.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're going to be talking and sharing and all that good stuff. So,
Yeah.
Before we talk, I'd like to let's play a song.
Okay. What do you want to do first? I think we should say the originals till the end, but either one of them.
Let's do
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if everybody knows, but I went to school here, and I actually was here when Allyn Johnson came to the school, and yeah, and he was this room was different, a little bit different, but Allyn was sitting on the bench playing, and I came in and just met him and saw the start of just an incredible life in music, and his relationship with Professor Jones. I got to witness that, and that was beautiful, and I'm sure still is. And so it's a pleasure to be here, really. So we're going to do a George Cable's tune, and this tune is for Honey Lulu. It's off of an album that he had a wonderful vocalist from New York, Sarah Elizabeth Charles, and she wrote the lyrics to some of his originals, and then they did an album together. So here's for Honey Lulu. You want to talk?
Yeah, we're gonna talk now.
Okay.
Oh, so what made you learn that song? What was it about that song?
When did I learn that song?
No, what was the reason behind you?
Golly. How
What
did
drew
I
you
first
to that
stumble on George Cables? Because I did not know him of his music, especially with the lyric. How did I gotta think about that. But I mean, can I talk without the mic just for a little? Or no? No, talk with the mic. So I think originally everybody, studies Sarah Vaughan and I think for me it goes like Sarah Vaughan, not even Abby Lincoln actually in this, but Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, Billie Holiday, and then it kind of goes into Abby Lincoln, Cassandra Wilson, and I really wasn't studying modern day. Like Nancy Wilson feels contemporary to me, but in fact, like basically what contemporary really is, like Sarah Elizabeth Charles. Yeah, she does a lot of really neat stuff. So when I think I may have come to George Cables as a lyricist, as having lyrics through her. I knew of George Cables, but I didn't know that he wrote songs that I could actually sing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the roundabout.
This song has a George Cables stamp on it, really.
I like that.
Like even the key, D major, it's kind of.
I like that.
It's tune. What's the tune? Oh my gosh, I'm getting over there now.
Oh,
Anyway.
Africa?
Oh no, that's another one that. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, it has a. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely George.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Heidi Martin?
Oh God. Oh gosh. Okay,
I've never asked anybody.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest.
Because there's a reason why I asked
Because we're here for shorter than we think. So I'll be honest, because I find a lot of times folks just sort of say what you think they're gonna say. Oh, I'm a vocalist, I'm a composer, born in DC, grew up in,
And that's why I asked this question to you. I don't think I've asked it.
Okay. So I am my mother's daughter. My mom survived a lot of stuff and was not a talker. She's a Leo. I don't know if that's something to do, but she does not share like the personal. But as children, we get our features, even our consciousness, from our parents. And so my mother was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And so, her mother had fled Scranton to get out of there. My mother was sort of the same thing. She married my father to get away from the restrictions of her family. So he was this crazy person. But crazy can give you that door, that crack where the light is like, So she left. They were like, what are you doing? She's getting married. I couldn't even believe it. She found a way to force the marriage. She wasn't even pregnant. She even had me, They met at the Supergiant on 450 in Lanham. My dad was selling shoes. That's when they had a shoe department. And I was named Heidi after the Heidi bakery bread, the white bread. You don't get this just everywhere. So, that's right. So, my mom was a cashier. Says something right there. 18 years old, trustworthy. So, my mom was very rebellious. So, the fact that I did not pay attention in school did not even put a ripple in her calm exterior. Not a great thing if you want to achieve and be successful and not have to deal with some of the things that come from not achieving in the way that society expects you to.
Woo!
But the weird thing is, I did get my freedom. And I am alive. I mean, I'm here right now, and I have been able to face whatever is delivered at my feet as a gift. And I mean the bad and the good. And so in that way, you know, I got a lot from my mother because she was not rebellious in my way, and you wouldn't think. She works so hard, it's kind of hidden in that hard work, you know, how rebellious she is. And she even said when they took away when she used to wash clothes by hand and they got a machine washer, she said that took away all her free time. Because when she worked. Now she's working around the clock, you know, because it's so easy to work. I was like, oof. So she's something.
That's a perspective.
But the children of parents like that don't work, and that's another mess. That's a hot mess. That's why we're here sorting it out, because, you know.
Preach.
What were your beginnings like with music? How were you introduced to just music in general, singing?
Well, so when my mom was pregnant, she had morning sickness, and they gave her amphetamines. And when my mother delivered me, they knocked her out, and a white man's hands were the first hands on me, pulling me out with like metal. And then they woke her up and let her know, you know, you had a baby. And it was like, my mom probably would have been called depressed. So she was asleep a lot, like in my early childhood. And I was in my room, you know, my dad was at work, my mom was asleep till like midday, and I was in my room playing records. She knew to get me that record. That was my salvation. I was playing 78s, all this Polish and Irish music. And then it just took her a couple years to get it together. I don't know why. I was not that type of child that was like sort of railing against what was. That was I did come in with this thing of like, I knew my mom loved me, and I definitely I surrendered to creativity. So I spent a lot of time alone. I was alone from, you know, like 2 and 3 until I was like 5. And so I was with music, you know, I was just singing to these little Irish songs, you know, or these Polish, you know, the ones that are like, she's too fat, she's too fat, she's too fat for me, da 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 da. They had this rhythm underneath it. They had that, you know, that like not 6/4, but definitely like a 3 thing. And so, you know, like Pennsylvania polka. Da ba ba da da ba ba da 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 do 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 do, the Pennsylvania polka. Like I was like, you know, in 3 years old, just like grooving. And then later, so then when my mom started coming out of her room, I came out of mine, and she was doing yoga and listening to bossa nova. So that was the first time that like I started like, oh, okay. And then she sends me to school. I was like, what? I can't see all my children, you know. So I was like in school, and it was the 60s. So I went from like my own room to a classroom of like 2nd graders, 1st graders, and kindergarten, all mashed up. It was an open classroom experiment. So it was. This was in Robert Frost Elementary in New Carrollton.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that, yeah, and then we moved from New Carrollton to Mitchellville. So basically, that was the background, because I was in that room with music every day. Then I started my exploration in the living room, and I started singing to like Cabaret, these albums that my mom had, and she would be like, "Stop screaming," and I would be like, "I'm not screaming, I'm singing," you know, like we're already at it, you know. So I knew I was here to sing.
Right.
So I kept going, but I did not know who Miles Davis was until I was 22. So I had gone through a lot of living, a lot of folk singing at the folk fest. I was in some Gonzaga plays. So here I am, 18, and I'm like, you know, basically my mom was like, "Where are you getting a job?" And I was like, well, I was trying to I'm going to be a singer. You know, I didn't have a clue. So I went to live in DC, waitress, and try to figure some things out and try to get, you know, try to sing and everything. But I went out to Newsroom Cafe, and I heard Marshall Keys. and I heard Reuben Brown on piano. That was the first piano player I ever heard was Reuben Brown, and Janice is here, and it's like such a beautiful, yeah. And Reuben was really kind. I mean, like he let me sit in. He talked to me. He came out to where I was living in Upper Marlboro for a little bit and tried to guide me on some things. He let me sit in at One Step Down on Monday nights. So it was sort of like I was always singing to records. I didn't really have that much live music experience until I was a little bit older.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you, like, what were your first experiences performing in front of people?
Probably the music, being at Gonzaga and singing in Broadway musicals.
Oh, I see.
And so that's how I knew some of the material that Marshall Keys was playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew the melodies and I knew what was going on. That creativity was like, pow. So that's what, I just am somebody who now is probably too comfortable with, I just chase consciousness. I'm not really, I don't know how it happened, but it was sort of like, I just ended up, the end of one gig, I'm asking folks, what's next? What's going on? And then it would be one step down, or,
I do have a question about, since, we talk sometimes, and but this question is way down in my queue here.
Oh, you got it.
But yeah, so I'm going to ask you before everything else. So I noticed, you're very big on energy, vibes, how does that play a role in your creative process and just how you live, how you go, make decisions about just things, but more importantly, I guess, just the musical process or the creative process?
Well, for the longest time, I was following my bliss. So in that way, I was going after whatever felt right, and even if it was against any kind of thing. And I was aware of my parents not being in the right place within themselves very early on. So, my dad ended up, like, not only was he, like, not home a lot, but he was running around. I was kind of, at 5, I was kind of assessing stability. So I think that I was saying this because I was already keyed into, like, what type of consciousness people are walking with. And by the time I was 7, we had moved to Mitchellville, Maryland. And other than when my mom went to get groceries at Giant, I believe his name was Jones, but he would load up our back seat and my mom would give him money. And there was like this energy that, like, it contained the consciousness of the thread. So it was like I was young, but I knew, I knew there was something there to, like, question, at least. I'll say that. So when we moved to Mitchellville, that's when I really saw segregation. And I remembered when, I tell this story sometimes, but we had moved into Mitchellville. It was this new development, and they had 3 model homes. And the first model home out of the 3, white family moves in, another white family moves in. And the last model home that everyone had been in, a black family moved in there, the Kellys. And I mean, they were more morally and upstanding than most of the whites in that community, because this was 70s. So, and I remember as a child thinking, like, being kind of even scared to be aware of it. Like, even the energy that I have to live with, if I'm going to allow myself to be aware that we've all been in their house, they will not be in our house. And that, I think, is why when I first started, we're like, I don't let go of things. I hold on. I'm like a little emotional hoarder. That's why I think I'm always like, because I got so much. And by the time I started writing, I mean, all those spirits were there. I walked into the Brooklyn Library, opened up an atlas, didn't know a thing about Egypt, and saw that Memphis, Tennessee is parallel with Memphis, Egypt. And I said, they don't tell me, but I'm here. I hear in Memphis, you could get to Memphis. It's not far from the Delta. Those secrets that lie below the belt. It was somehow, it was like I had other spirit around me that had touched me. I remember being at Holy Family Church, and Veronica, I was 10, and my mom was secretary at the church, and Veronica pulled me and said, come on downstairs. And I go downstairs, and she opens up the book, and she said, because the church was all white by then, except the 9 o'clock mass with Thelma Queen on the organ. But all the other masses...
Who was on the organ?
Thelma Queen.
Okay, Thelma Queen, all right.
And so Veronica pulls me downstairs, and she's like, I want you to know who put the cornerstone in this church. And they were all black. And I was like, and I mean like hand tools. And she had 20 children, not one of them were twins. There's a big historical thing on PBS about her. But this woman, this grand queen, touched me like she was in my life. So I know that it's true. People can believe it or not. But when things started coming out of me, like Black Gandhi, come up from the South, put music in my mouth from your dramatic language, out in Georgia, Alabama bred, cooking years instead of speaking now. What was not loud said, can we hear? Congo Square in the eye, will the circle be on broken pieces of the sky, land, God, you and I, you make me feel like Martin went down on his knees to the South, if he please, to come to find out what you should have told, your people should have told. And that I knew somehow that like they touched me, they gave me something, they filled me up. Because the word white in French is blanc, and blanc is blank. It's empty. It's empty.
Deep, that's deep.
It was for me when I heard it, and I don't even speak the language, but I was like, I got you. So.
Wow. Yeah.
Deep.
I want to ask you another question before we do this. Let's sing perform another song.
Let's do there is a certain point.
Yeah, because
we're not going to do that today.
It feels like
we went through that. We were going to do this Nicholas Payton tune that I love, but you can listen to it. You can hear it. You can Google that. But this is a song. So I'll tell you, this is a song. This is the first song that I wrote. This one's going to be heavy. This is not good. But this song is the first song I wrote after my son was murdered. And I wouldn't have made it if I just had stayed with my little family, let me tell you. But this one is about like waking up in the middle of the night and having that anxiety and not, just having, people tell you all the time they'll be there for you. But just waking up and really not knowing, like, how can I even console myself? Like, I can't even put myself back to sleep. And so this is called There Is a Certain Point. At night would you go for comfort and consoling? Who do you know? Where would you go for comfort and consoling? At
You're not only to me, you're not only a songwriter and a singer, you're a storyteller. Most definitely a storyteller. And that's not easy, that's not something that just happens. Where do you think that comes from in your style?
Well, I definitely don't repress things. I mean, I think sometimes I've held on to things. So I definitely have a lot of questions. I don't mean, I guess, to be honest with you, I really don't know. I think I didn't, it's like those poets that when they're going to write something, that when they can tell, when, you know, the poem is written before it lands here. In fact, depending on the person, they're really transcribing it consciousness. And the funny thing is, I mean, so consciousness is higher than language. I don't think it's higher than music, but I think I could say it's higher than language. So sometimes, you know, if you talk about consciousness, you're like reducing it. But I feel like what I have, the thing that I can point to is that when spirit is present, I know I'm smaller. So I definitely do not deny. And if something is going to happen, I let it happen. So in that way, I think it's. I don't think I'm a great storyteller, but I'm definitely open to evolving more. But at the same time, there was a period when I had my sons that I noticed I changed because of how much I wanted to protect them. So I did lose a little some, I did a little seeking to put them in what I thought was the better school or the better neighborhood, you know, and my younger son was murdered a mile from our house in our nice little Montgomery County. So you can't run from it, you know. But, so I think that the thing about storytelling is, you know, you have to be, you know, you have to be willing to live life here.
Peace be with you.
Talk about it.
Peace be with you.
I assume that storytelling has helped you.
You know, it's given me a way to survive. Because I don't know if I could have really held on to a regular job. I was not good at some of that. And they knew it, and I tried to, you know, the receptionist, that works when you're, you know, your weight and your looks, and you believe what they believe. You know, you can stay smiling at the front desk. But, you know, it wore off quickly. So I think I have, you know, and that's another tricky thing is that, you know, here you've got this art form and it's been really how you've survived, and now you've got to put a monetary thing on it. That's a rough piece to have to sell it out there.
Preach!
But I will say I have never doctored one lyric to fit their design. But I do notice, you know, I'm on Instagram like, hi, we're at Keystone Corner on the 19th of November. I mean, you know, you can't fight it like completely because it's a game. It's like you got to get folks in and, you know, it's tricky.
Yeah, there's the battle between the
Preach.
commercial and the art
Beautiful.
that, you know, a lot of true artists fight to, what should I do, you know. And, it's, you know, the politics of the music I have to deal with.
You know, I'm going to speak to that politics for just a second.
Go for it.
So when Abby Lincoln passed, even before that, I was really like kind of doing, I think I'm the first person that ever recorded an Abby Lincoln original on an album. I would be challenged if, that was on my first CD, which was all standards. And what happened was, you know, I had put all these years, I did an Abby tribute show, I memorized hours of interviews of hers and would posture, sort of in the way of like Anna Devere Smith has talked about, she will posture to get into characters. And so I just found myself just surrendering to her spirit and felt there was some communication going on. And so basically, I did this show, I did this tribute show. Dr. Allyn Lynch came out and was like, he wanted to talk to me. He felt like there was really something going on. You know, I took that as I've done the work. So a couple years passed and I'm still trying to push this thing to do Abby work. And so then I ended up going up, when I found out about the estate, I was researching the Abby Lincoln estate, and Michael was like, that's great, you know. And I pulled Mark Carey in, who was her pianist, and Michael Bowie, the bassist, and we did this work to, I was writing poetry after I was reading her journals and getting into this depression and understanding it, and how did she get out of deeply depressing, you know, emotions and more than depression, I wish I could put a word on it, but so what I found interesting is that, and this is going to say, this might sound funny, but so basically the musicians were like, you can't go back to doing any of her tunes because I wanted to do a tribute, and they were like, you can't do a tribute. You've reimagined, you've written this album of material about the, you know, from the experience of her journals. And so I reached out to Lincoln Dizzy's at Lincoln Center, Jazz at the Center, and I was like, you know, I've written this music from the estate. I used to do a tribute, but I've written this music from an estate, and from her estate, and it's called Attunement because I was attuning to her spirit. And I didn't get a response or anything, but they're doing an Abby tribute.
Without you.
With a sister. And I know when I told somebody, they said, girlfriend, they don't want you up there. And I was like, wait a minute. Because that's when we get it wrong. We get it wrong. I don't care. You know, I mean, I've been like on this path, and now I'm like, and even the musicians that I was working with were like, no, we're not doing a tribute. You know, we're not going to go back there. And I'm like, so when I saw on Instagram that they are going to be playing with her, I did send a message. I did say, well, please let me know how reimagined she's doing these pieces of hers.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah,
There's a lot of politics to it.
Yeah. I was going to go, you know, to Abby and, you know, and actually about her influence on you. But you, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick story about Abby Lincoln. The only encounter I had with her, Michael Bowie, the great Michael Bowie, sent me to her house.
Oh, wow.
It's like, this is where she lived. We go over there, play for her, blah, blah, blah. One time I go over there, it's dark, you know, it's dark. And so her assistant brings me in, and I think, if I remember correctly, she was sitting in the corner. And she said, come on in, you know, sit at the piano. She comes to the piano. And we start playing a song. I can't remember what song it was. And I start playing, right? Whatever standard it was. I don't remember, right? I'm playing. I'm like this. I'm like, all these chords, right? She's like, hold up. Now you got to make those more simple. She sat down. You know, Max Roach showed me this. You know, it was like very simple voicings. You know, I don't, very simple.
Right.
And you know, you got to play more simple. You know, and so right there was a lesson in. Not everybody likes all these lush chords. And, as much as I like them, But some people like more. Some artists like a more blank, less palette. Where they can tell the story. She's a storyteller, so. But we finished.
Her voice does have a certain quality that would get eaten up in a lot of dense.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that's possibly part of it too,
Mm-hmm.
and that her writing is folk,
Right.
and that really does need space.
Right.
Because you it's like communicating the story. I think I'm not speaking for her, but communicating the story is like it's not about the pitches and the roundness and the beauty in the voice.
Right.
It's about how you can, even with a, you can tell that story, and you gotta have room for spirit.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that spirit isn't.
Oh yeah, for
dense.
sure. Oh yeah, it's just
But-
different. It's just a different approach.
Mhm.
And the record with Hank Jones. And,
Oh.
we were talking about just chords, but see,
I don't know. He does it. He does a lot, but he does
It's
it.
Hank
I don't
Jones.
know what it is. That thing that one of my favorite ones that she sings, "Nearness of You" with him. When she does "Nearness of You" with
yeah,
him.
but it's Hank Jones, man. Like you do what you can play with it. You can play with anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And they
it's like,
loved each other. They were in the same hospital when they were passing.
oh, I did.
Yeah, they
see,
ran into each other. They didn't even know it.
Yeah.
What spirits.
Wow.
I do want to just jump back on something because
Sure.
I realize I have to be honest because I don't want to act. It was too much here. But the thing about I did send it to Michael when I saw the thing about the other vocalist doing this tribute.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you get in a lot of danger anytime. It's not that I don't feel like I should speak out or anyone should speak out, but you do get in danger. There's like a line because you can't go too far because it's all a gift. So it's
Mm-hmm.
tricky. You gotta be thankful that I didn't get it because there's something about it. I might need that particular faceted part of the gem to reflect something back to me. And it usually is true that I need to do work. It's like that.
I think it's a human thing to question why I'm not here when I'm the one that started it. And then you told me it's just a human thing, so that's nothing wrong with that. But then you have to make the choice of, should I say something or not, and just leave it alone.
No, I wouldn't go that far off.
But I know
Yeah,
you're not like that. No, yeah.
But I'll definitely tell Michael.
Yeah.
And I want to hear it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, she's an incredible vocalist. That's what's crazy is that she is an incredible vocalist.
Okay.
It makes sense. But it's just that I really would like to see some of these works that aren't just, for me, if I want to put it on, I have to rent Source Theater. I have to pay for the rental of the theater, which I did for 2 days. I have to sell the tickets. I have to get folks out. But they came, it was, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But still,
Let me ask you one more thing, and then what I want to do.
What you want to do?
I want to give maybe the audience a chance to
Yeah.
a couple of questions, but just talk about your time here at UDC. Just a little bit.
I wish I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to change that I had the opportunity. I do wish I was a little more mature. I was not even aware, but I was dancing in my own, what I was following. And it was probably one of the first experiences where I'm trying to think now. Yes, probably where I was the only Caucasian. And besides Miss Glory, which I probably didn't, consider, because it was like I was, a student here. But it was needed, because I needed the social, I just needed that, the shaking up in me to grow. And so like Bruce Williams, I met Bruce right before he was leaving for Patterson. Mark Carey before he got picked up with Betty. James King. I had heard James King and met James King, but like he would come up with Nasser, I think, and play with Professor Jones. Yeah, so it was like there was like little, connection. But I remember when I said to Calvin that I was like, I want to sing a medium. I want to swing. And he's like, you can't swing? And I was like, yes, I can. I was just like when I was with my mother. I was like, I'm not screaming. And he was like, no. And I mean, it went right through me. And I was like, I don't know if I can stay here anymore. I'm just going to sing with George Culligan. I was so upset.
Preach it.
But yeah, Connie was doing such a great job with the medium swing and the joy. See, I really wasn't, I was not quite, I wasn't quite able to hold joy at that time in my life. It's weird how it works out, so it's different now.
I'd like to take a couple of questions, just a couple, because yours truly has an eye appointment. If you want me to see, then I need to go to this doctor.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Make it short.
I had, only because you're talking, but you're singing. And because I felt Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, and then a female president and a female pope. I mean that. A female president and a female pope.
I saw that movie. I saw Conclave. That was a female pope. Oh, did I? Oh my gosh.
Either way. Thank you, sir. Next. Any other questions? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Yes, some comments. I'm glad you mentioned Allyn Lynch, professor who was very close to Max and Ed. And so if you got affirmation from him, you got it from the source. Allyn was also friends with Malcolm X. He's still with us, He'll be out at concerts. Michael Bowie asked me to host Abbey Lincoln perform here on the campus of UDC. And it's just one of the thrills of my life. Being in the green room ahead of the concert with her and talking with her. But it's also, it could go a little sideways because I said, it's a shame about Percy Heath passing. And she said, no, it's just our time. And I hope I make it through tonight. I want to make an announcement. I'm doing a Thinking About Jazz presentation about Earl Father Hines at Westminster Church this coming Saturday. It's free, lots of good video, and it's part of the connection in history. I was blessed to actually have a conversation with Earl Father Hines, which connects me to Louis Armstrong in 1948. So I feel proud about that. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Allyn.
Since he mentioned that concert, to see Abbey Lincoln and then to see you perform. Remember we were there, Askia Muhammad and we talked. All of your music, I got your CDs. Thank you. Thank you. And you proved that it's in here. It's the spirit. And another thing with Abbey Lincoln, like with you, a lot of times I feel like I don't have to say anything with you. And that's how it was like with Abbey.
Thank you.
I just a comment. I really appreciated hearing about surrounds, especially when you're deaf. And I can relate to that. It certainly is a lifesaver and allows you to find, at some point, maybe not initially, like your song was, maybe not joy there, but later, joy. So I appreciate hearing your journey in that respect. And I'm a vocalist also. One of my favorites is Current.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Current, right, and who I feel very connected to. So that's another wonderful facet of this music that you can experience.
Do you like the Inside a Silent Tear version of that? My God, that is some of the finest. That song.
But I love how much she spoke. She spoke through her music. She was telling you an experience, storytelling for sure. I think that's a significant level to get to.
Thank you. Well, this is a wonderful ending to a wonderful conversation with Heidi Martin.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
And we'll see you around.
Yeah.
Peace, love, and soul. Thank you.
You'll see. All right.
See you too.
Yep.
Keep it up.
Even married.